Welcome to our Chesterfield Office of Business Insolvency Helpline. In this guide, we aim to offer an overview of our services in Chesterfield and across Derbyshire. Insolvency practitioners in Chesterfield are licensed professionals who are responsible for managing the financial affairs of individuals and businesses that are insolvent or facing financial difficulties. They have a legal duty to act in the best interests of all parties involved, including creditors, debtors, and employees. One of their primary responsibilities is to assess the financial position of the individual or company and recommend the appropriate insolvency procedure. They also manage the insolvency process from start to finish and ensure that all parties are treated fairly. Insolvency practitioners are subject to strict legal and regulatory requirements. They are required to be licensed by the Insolvency Practitioners Association and are also regulated by bodies such as the Financial Conduct Authority and the Solicitors Regulation Authority. They must adhere to the rules and regulations set out in the Insolvency Act 1986 and other relevant legislation. Failure to comply with these regulations can result in disciplinary action, fines, or even criminal prosecution. The role of insolvency practitioners is critical in debt recovery, business rescue, and liquidation. In debt recovery, they help individuals and businesses to manage their debts and reach an agreement with their creditors. In business rescue, they work to save businesses that are facing financial difficulties by restructuring their finances and operations. This can involve negotiating with creditors, selling assets, or making redundancies. In liquidation, they are responsible for selling the assets of the company and distributing the proceeds to the creditors. Overall, the responsibilities of insolvency practitioners are vast and varied. They must act with integrity and impartiality at all times and ensure that all parties are treated fairly. Their role is critical in managing the financial affairs of individuals and businesses that are facing financial difficulties, and they play an essential role in debt recovery, business rescue, and liquidation. If you are facing financial difficulties, it is essential to seek advice from a reputable insolvency practitioner in Chesterfield to help you navigate the insolvency process and get back on track. Insolvency procedures are legal processes that are used to help individuals and businesses that are facing financial difficulties. There are several different insolvency procedures available, including administration, liquidation, and individual voluntary arrangements. Each procedure has its own advantages and disadvantages, and the appropriate procedure will depend on the individual or company's financial circumstances. The administration procedure is designed to help companies that are facing financial difficulties but have a viable business. The procedure involves the appointment of an insolvency practitioner as an administrator, who takes control of the company's affairs and works to rescue the business. The aim is to save the company and allow it to continue trading. If this is not possible, the administrator may recommend that the company be liquidated. Liquidation is a procedure that is used to close down a company that is insolvent and unable to pay its debts. The procedure involves the appointment of a liquidator, who is responsible for selling the company's assets and distributing the proceeds to the creditors. The liquidator also works to investigate the company's affairs and may take legal action against the company's directors if they have acted improperly. Individual voluntary arrangements, IVAs, are a procedure that is available to individuals who are struggling with debt. The procedure involves the individual making an agreement with their creditors to pay off their debts over a set period. The individual will work with an insolvency practitioner to develop a repayment plan, which is then presented to the creditors for approval. In Chesterfield, there have been many cases of companies and individuals using insolvency procedures to manage their financial difficulties. For example, in 2021, Chesterfield-based retail company, D. Benhams, entered administration due to financial difficulties caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. The company was subsequently liquidated, and its assets were sold to pay off its creditors. In contrast, in the same year, a Chesterfield-based individual entered into an IVA to manage their debt, which allowed them to avoid bankruptcy and pay off their creditors over a set period. Working with an insolvency practitioner can be a daunting process, but it can also be an essential step towards getting back on track financially. If you are considering hiring an insolvency practitioner, it is important to do your research and choose a reputable firm with experience in your specific situation. You may want to ask for recommendations from trusted sources or check online reviews to ensure you are working with a trusted professional. To work effectively with an insolvency practitioner, it is essential to be honest and transparent about your financial situation. This will help the insolvency practitioner to understand your circumstances and recommend the appropriate insolvency procedure. It is also important to provide all the necessary documentation and information promptly to avoid delays in the process. You should also ask questions and seek clarification if you are unsure about any aspect of the insolvency procedure. One common issue is failing to seek professional advice early enough, as delaying the process can make it more difficult to manage your financial situation. Finally, it is important to avoid making any large financial decisions, such as taking out additional loans, without consulting your insolvency practitioner first, as this can complicate the insolvency process. Choosing the right insolvency practitioner in Chesterfield is essential for ensuring the best outcome for your financial situation. When selecting an insolvency practitioner, there are several factors to consider, including their qualifications, experience, reputation, and fees. You may want to look for a practitioner who has experience in dealing with situations similar to yours and has a good track record of achieving successful outcomes for their clients. To find a reputable insolvency practitioner in Chesterfield, you can start by asking for recommendations from trusted sources, such as friends, family members, or business associates. You can also search online for insolvency practitioners in Chesterfield and read reviews from previous clients to get an idea of their reputation. It is important to verify that the practitioner you choose is properly licensed and regulated by the relevant professional bodies, such as the Insolvency Practitioners Association. Before hiring an insolvency practitioner, it is essential to ask questions to ensure that you are comfortable with their approach and that they have the necessary expertise to handle your situation. Some key questions to ask include what insolvency procedures they recommend for your situation, how long the process is likely to take, what fees they charge, and what their success rate is for achieving positive outcomes for their clients. It is also important to understand what their communication policy is and how they will keep you updated throughout the process. Make contact today with one of our insolvency practitioners to talk about financial issues that you may be experiencing as an individual or as a company. One of our team would be happy to have a confidential free chat with you. To get started, simply complete an online inquiry.